And here we go. What's going on, y'all? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. As I'm sure you guys can already tell by now, the quality for this video is a little bit different compared to previous ones. And well, that's due to the fact that I got a brand new camera, y'all. I am the proud owner of a Sony a6000. Now, I've only been fooling around with this guy for a few minutes now, but I gotta say, I am freaking impressed with not only the quality that I'm getting out of this, but the sheer amount of settings that are available to record. Now, like I mentioned, it's only been a few minutes, so I am still fine-tuning what works best for me, and of course, what is most optimal for my recording environment. I already do know I need to get a better light source because this Sol lamp right here just ain't cutting it, but I gotta say, one thing I love about this camera is how well it performs in a low light scenario. It's just fantastic, but again, that's neither here nor there. Let's just move this tech mumbo jumbo to the side for now. Wait, no, we're still talking about tech, so... Anyways, the topic for today comes off the heels of a comment I made in my Switch First Impressions video. I was talking about how I would, jokingly of course, rather buy 2 Switches than ever purchase an Xbox One. Now, the TLDR version of this video, I'm pretty sure y'all already know the answer to. I'm pretty sure that y'all are in the same situation as me. And I'm pretty sure that if I tell you guys the reason why I don't own Xbox One right now, I'll save you what I assume is going to be close to 10 minutes of me rambling. Maybe more. But as it stands, I have had little interest in owning an Xbox One. And now, with the release of the Xbox One X, I have even less interest than before, which is insane how in the span of 4 years, as the years go on, you have less and less interest for you to buy a system. It usually should be the opposite, right? Well, to give you guys a better understanding of where I'm coming from, I need to take it back to my first experience with the Xbox product, which was, of course, the OG Xbox. On paper, that console just seemed like it should have been the best of the generation. It was the most powerful, it packed the most amount of features. Overall, it was a really well-built machine compared to the competition. But as it stands, I probably put the least amount of gaming time into the Xbox original. I think I've probably put collectively a grand total of 5 hours into that system. Just in my situation, the game library, it just wasn't there on the platform, especially compared to the PS2 and the Nintendo GameCube to a lesser degree. That's not to say that the original Xbox didn't have games. Of course, it did. But to me, they just weren't enough, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people were also in the same category as well. Now, fast forward to the Xbox 360, it was a completely different scenario. That was the first HD console I owned of that generation. It's the system that I chose over the PlayStation 3, which is very funny because I owned the PlayStation 2. Naturally, you would think that I'd upgrade to the PS3, right? Well, there was a lot of reasons why folks didn't upgrade to the PS3, price being one of them. The 360 was just at that sweet price range, and it just, like, when I owned the system, it had done something that I had never seen before in the past. It had literally blew my mind when it came to gaming. When it came to playing games online, the sheer concept that I could play games with friends at my place, and then a couple hours later, whether they're 5 minutes down the road or they live across the world, I can still play with them, I could talk with them. It was just phenomenal. And couple that with the fact that it was the first HD console I owned, I was just blown away at the sheer graphical fidelity. Like I said, going from a PS2 and a GameCube to an Xbox 360, the just change was so phenomenal. Like, again, we might as well just add the Nintendo Wii into that category, because while the Xbox 360 was the first HD console I owned, it wasn't the first console that generation. I picked up the Nintendo Wii, and to be honest, the Wii was just a GameCube on steroids. I mean, that's essentially what it was. Let's not mince words here, you know what I'm saying? So I loved the Xbox 360. I put a lot of time into that console, and we really got to thank Microsoft for what they did with that platform. Of course, they are to blame for a lot of things. They rushed the system out to compete with the PS3, so from a technical side of things, it was the worst console in terms of how many times it broke down, how many revisions it had, and as it stands, most people probably put more money into the 360 than they should have, with all the extra stuff they had to buy, like a Wi-Fi adapter, playing charge kits. So from a price to performance aspect, 360 was bad, but in terms of what the console could do, it was good, so it kind of leveled itself out. And I'm one of the few people that didn't have the red ring of death, so that makes it even more appealing. But going back to what Microsoft pioneered, just the sheer accessibility of online gaming on a system. that was really unheard of for the most part, because yeah, we had online gaming on PC, of course. We had it on the PS2, the GameCube, and the OG Xbox, but with how seamless it was for 360, it was just unparalleled. Like, the enjoyment that I got out of that and all the features that they included, like cross-game chat, cross-party chat, that stuff was awesome. I remember countless nights staying up until 5 a.m. in the morning playing Call of Duty World at War Nazi Zombies with the crew. It's an experience that I couldn't get on any other system at the time, especially the PlayStation 3, which to this day still doesn't have any of the features that the Xbox 360 launched with. Yeah, Sony was, let's just say they have Microsoft to thank for a lot of the features that we take advantage of with the PlayStation 4. How seamless it is, how it just works, how the PS4 is just such a streamlined machine. We gotta thank Sony for watching what Microsoft did last generation, because if they didn't, we probably would have gotten another PS3, which would have been a disaster in and of itself. Great games, really crappy interface. So here we are with the Xbox One. On paper, again, it sounds like this should be a no-brainer. It's the next evolution in the Xbox ecosystem. Everyone who is ingrained with that platform, this should be the next logical step, right? Well, as you guys can see, wrong. And the easiest way I could describe this is we got to take it back to the Xbox One reveal, the original reveal, and how it wasn't really focused on gaming. It was built as a multimedia machine. Again, that isn't a problem, because the more and more time goes on, it's not necessarily about what your system can excel at, it's about what your system can also do as well. Yeah, my system can play video games, but it can also play Blu-rays, it can also play Netflix, it could also surf the web, it could also stream Spotify. It can do all these things. And that's something that the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One both excel at very well. But the Xbox One just really released at a wrong time with wrong leadership attached to it. Y'all already know the DRM debacle, you know the inflated price tag, you know the mandatory connect, all the things that went into the Xbox One. Its failure for the first few years is because of it. It is still hurting from that E3 reveal, and it's honestly something I don't think Microsoft is ever going to recover from, no matter what they do. And here's proof. Ever since that reveal and the system has come out, Microsoft has basically done a 180 on everything. They've gotten rid of the DRM. They've dropped the price of the system. They've slashed it numerous times. But the system still isn't selling, at least not what they want. Of course, it's selling more than when it came out, but the overall interest and the appeal just isn't there for the system. It isn't, which is very perplexing, because Microsoft is still putting out the same effort into all the features, like Xbox One Game Pass. Phenomenal idea. Xbox One game sharing, they got that from Steam. Great thing, we've needed that on consoles for the longest time. So from that front, Microsoft is definitely appealing from a competition side of things, because they're doing things that Sony isn't. Sony isn't giving us a Game Pass. Sony isn't giving us backwards compatibility. Sony isn't giving us game gifting. And we know why Sony doesn't give you backwards compatibility. Obviously, they're at a catch-22. It's like PlayStation Now is their best alternative because they can't do backwards compatibility with a PS4 because it's not like a PS3 and it'd be insanely expensive for them to do that, blah, 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 blah. But still, people prefer the PS4, even though it doesn't have all the goodwill that Microsoft is dealing out to consumers. Why is that? Well, the Xbox One is just kind of there. It just exists. It has an identity problem, especially when it comes to its game library. Compare the great IPs that Microsoft had on the 360 to the Xbox One, and there's just no competition. Like, compare playing Gears of War 1, 2, and 3 on the 360 to Gears of War 4 on the Xbox One, and I'm pretty sure most people had more enjoyment on the 360. Compare playing Halo 3 and Halo Reach to Halo 5 on the Xbox One, I'm pretty sure more people had enjoyment on the 360. And you could chalk that up to nostalgia. You can chalk that up to, yeah, that was the first time people got to play these games online, then new IPs, and blah, 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 blah. But as it stands, I don't think we were really at that point where nostalgia would play such a big factor in making a decision on why we chose the next system and why we enjoy this system over another. I mean, I'm pretty sure most people, when they got the 360, they were, you know, in their teens to their late teens, maybe early adulthood. So it's still fresh in their mind for the most part. And the Xbox One, on the other hand, it doesn't have that same goodwill when it comes to game diversity. Sure, they have their new IPs, they have Quantum Break, they have Sunset Overdrive, but those games really weren't like AAA in the sense that, wow, this is why you need to own the Xbox One X. They didn't have the Gears of War effect where this is a brand new quality genre generation defining IP. Like, I think people really understate how important the first Gears of War was, especially for a third-person cover shooter. Like, there are so many games that owe a lot of that to the original Gears of War and how seamless it was. This generation, we don't have that on Xbox One X. We just have another Gears of War, which isn't inherently bad, but it's not anything new. We have another Halo, which again isn't inherently bad, but it's not anything new. And couple that with the fact that Microsoft hasn't really been putting out any new IPs since those games launched. And those games came so few and far between from one another. So what is Microsoft doing? They aren't doing anything. They aren't doing anything to further game development, and they aren't doing anything to entice people to get these new games. Compare what they're doing to what Sony's doing. Guerrilla could have put out another Killzone game. They could have put out Killzone 5 after Shadowfall if they wanted to. But they didn't. They decided to go out with Horizon Zero Dawn. Same thing for Sucker Punch. They could have put out another Infamous after Infamous Second Son, but they didn't. They're working on Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, we have continuations of franchises like Uncharted. We have a reimagining of Ratchet and Clank. We have all these reimagining games coming out on PS4. We have games that are appealing to everyone. We're getting the new IPs. We're getting the continuing franchises. We're getting the reimaginings. So you compare that to what Microsoft is doing with the Xbox One, and the answer is clear as day. Microsoft is not focusing on game development, and it's evident with all the games that they've been canceling and the games that have just been getting thrown by the wayside, and they're just not putting a lot of emphasis in their first-party support. And couple that with the fact that all these games are on PC, why should anyone own an Xbox One? The only people I could see you're selling the Xbox One to are the diehard 360 fans who will only play on an Xbox system, or the casual person whose all their friends already play on the Xbox One, so they might as well get the Xbox One. But if you're trying to make this, make the Xbox One a secondary console to someone who owns a Switch or a PS4, and heck, even a gaming PC, you're failing on all accounts. There's no reason for someone to go out there and buy it. It's just a weaker, more anemic version of a PlayStation 4, and in most cases, it was the most expensive version of that system for the longest time. So how do you sell this console? A console that you're slashing the price so many times, a console that you're even giving away in some times of the year, like with certain TVs. And I think this holiday season, if you were at a jewelry store and you purchased a ring, they were giving away Xbox consoles. Like that's just something so silly. Like, we used to joke about the fact that, yeah, when you buy, you know, a Ferrari or something, Microsoft is going to give you a Forza branded Xbox One console. We joked about that, but I think we're going down that route. So how do you fix that? Well, you announce a successor of some sorts, the Xbox One X, which just launched. And this is where I have even less interest in the console, because it has done nothing to fix the issues that I had with the original Xbox One. Where is the first-party support? Where is it? It's just not there. All we have is just the Xbox One when it should have launched. The most powerful system, check. It's still got the great features, check. What else does the Xbox One X have? Nothing. Nothing. And that's why people have no real desire to go out and buy the system. I'm sure it sold well to its fan base and to, of course, the people who always want to buy a new platform when it comes out. But I don't see this really being a success long term. It's $500 for a 4K machine that's not always 4K. They do have upscaling attached to it. So if someone wasn't inclined to purchase the PlayStation 4 Pro, why are they going to get an Xbox One X? Because it could have the better version of multiplats? Okay, sure. But does that really matter to a lot of people? Especially if all these games ain't running at 60 frames per second. I'm pretty sure most people would rather have the games run at 60 than 4K 30. With some cases, it's dropping to like the 20s. You get what I'm saying? If this was a machine that was essentially Microsoft's answer to PC gaming, where you can go in and adjust all the settings and run it like a PC, I could see this being what the Steam box should have been. A $500 machine that plays you all the best PC games, you adjust all the settings, you have the freeform, you have everything. But you don't get that out of the system. It's still done on a developer by developer basis, and they have to fine tune it with their games, and you don't even get that much in the way of changing things up. It's usually just high performance mode, high resolution mode, and that's essentially it. So again, on that front, you're already alienating the people who want to get PC-like performance for that price by still making it an Xbox One console. And I think the Xbox One X is going to have a harder time selling than the PlayStation 4 Pro, because the way Microsoft is selling this machine, it's coming like a successor to the Xbox One, like the Xbox 2. This is a new generation. They're talking all about how this is the most powerful console ever, 4K this, 4K that, but there's not really much stuff to enjoy on your 4K machine. Sony was very modest about their expectations with PS4 Pro. They said, hey, this is for the enthusiast person. This is for someone who wants to get the most out of PlayStation 4 and their brand new 4K machine. So yeah, it's not going to be top of the line $1,300 gaming PC performance, but to get a little bit of a boost here and there with your games and running them at 4K, upscaled in some cases, of course. But for most people, that's okay because the price justifies it. And you have the great Sony third party and everything you love about their ecosystem already that makes the PS4 Pro more of a, okay, I can get that eventually. And for the new person in the room, why wouldn't you get a PlayStation 4 Pro, especially if you have a 4K TV? So with Xbox One X, it just seems to me like another problem that Microsoft is going to have in a few years. Because what's going to happen in 2020 or 2019, whenever Sony drops the PS5, it's going to be more powerful than the Xbox One X. So what purpose is there in having the system be on the market for 2 years? There is none, especially since they don't have first party. They've said that they are going to be building out more studios and making more developer relations. But what you guys don't understand is that that stuff takes time. That doesn't take 1 year. That doesn't take 2 years. That takes 3, 4, sometimes 5 years for them to put out a new game. Look at all the problems that all these developers have had trying to bring out all their games, like Crackdown 3. That game, I feel like we've seen it at every single E3 and every single trade show. Same for Sea of Thieves. Like, it just seems like such an issue to have these games out. Meanwhile, Sony and Nintendo, they just keep cranking out all of the first party and bringing in all the third party relations. Microsoft, it's nothing. They're just there. So I don't know if this is going to help with their long-term solution at just making Xbox a generation that keeps on thriving off of one machine, as opposed to, oh, here's one install base, next generation, we're going to reset it. Next generation, we're going to reset it. So maybe that's what they're going for. But long term, they are going to have to give up the original Xbox One. Since the Xbox One X is still tethered to the Xbox One as far as how the games can run, you're going to have to give up Xbox One X as a brand sooner rather than later. Because going forward, you're going to have all these developers making so many different games for so many different versions of the platforms that it's just like, okay, wow, I really miss working on PS3, then going to PS4, then going to PS5. Now I have to make a game for Xbox One. It's got to be able to have an Xbox One Enhanced patch. Then I got to make the Xbox 2 or whatever version. So that just seems like such a major issue. And it seems like a major deal breaker for a lot of people. But yeah, guys, that's why I really have no interest in buying an Xbox One. And I have even less interest now with the new machine. To me, owning a PlayStation 4 and owning a Switch, the next logical thing would be to upgrade my gaming PC if I want to play those games. So the few games that I would get on the system, I played on PC. And even then, they're so few and far between that it's like, do I really need them? Anyways, those are just my thoughts on the matter. Let me know what you guys think about the Xbox One as a whole. I think that Microsoft has done a lot to turn the system around, but it's just not enough because the system doesn't have a proper identity, and it's just a machine that, well, exists for the sake of existing. You know what I'm saying? For me, for now, my name is NGS signing out, and like always, I will catch you guys later. Peace.